This is Alpha. This is the follow-up of 4040 Vision. This is Alpha. This is the 8 million stories of Aarao. This is the miseducation of Aarao, written by Aarao, Cornelio Jr. Don't. Alright, so listen, yo, this is Alpha. It's a follow-up. Listen, after this, there's one more book. It's called Soft Eyes. And then I'm going to leave you on your own for your mind to wander, for you to catch up and get updated on YouTube by checking me out, Aarao space Cornelio Jr. on YouTube, Aarao space Cornelio Jr. on Instagram. You catch up on all that shit. Prince Rao, who's Prince Rao, you find out behind that. And then, there might be more movies, might be more books or whatever, but you just stay tuned because this is going to be a world premiere. This is Alpha. It's a follow-up. And now for your feature presentation. So we were basically at a point when I was just like rambling, right, son? Like I was rambling. That's what I was doing, son. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I guess that's what you said, right? That's what you said, right? All right, cool. So I was rambling. So we were basically at a point where I was rambling too much. That was too much? All right, son. So I was rambling too much and I decided to end the last story before I reached my next 40. So I could have written the story that way, but would have to go from nonfiction to fiction story because the next 40 years has not happened yet. And I prefer not to take that approach. Instead, I will just say this. Time is money. And if life was a show on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or Jeopardy, I would not want that or the last thing Alex Trebek or Howie to remember of me was one lesson that I have learned as opposed to a series of lessons that I learned over and over again, giving me the perspective I have on life and pretty much shape the way I think or look at things or react to what life throws my way. At the beginning of creation, there was a mother wolf in the wild with her 2 baby wolves who were both boys. These boys did not know their father. All they knew was the wild and whatever they learned from their mother and each other. One day, a great ice age came and the mother said to the boys, "One of you will survive because you are strong and fearless. The other of you will depend on the stronger to survive. If you, the weaker, learn to survive on your own, you may have to prove yourself worthy by surviving the challenge your brothers and your enemies pose against you, all competing for the trophies of the strongest animals in the jungle." My padre was born in the jungle. Mi hermano and my primos were also born in the jungle. Just as my avó were born in the jungle and generations before them born in the same jungle. Oh, let me guess, you want English, right? All right, son. My father was born in the jungle. My brother and my cousins were born in the jungle, just as my great-grandparents were born in the jungle and generations before them were born in the same jungle. That's good, son? They hunted as people who were from the jungle. They lived and talked and walked as people who were from the jungle. I myself grew up near a creek called Wolf Creek in a suburb near Pittsburgh. Jungle. The city of my birth. Now, there were no actual wolves in the woods that surrounded my house, but there was a lady named Miss Wolf that came to my house when we were kids to check up on us in the jungle. We lived virtually on the woodsy side of a small town college whose mascot was the Wolverines in this jungle. Our house was a brick duplex on a quiet street called Liberty Street. I grew up a little eagle in this jungle. I never became an Eagle Scout, but I do remember an old Native American tale about eagles saying, "Out of these sons, few may come, withered right and not entirely undone." There were many Native American towns around my part of PA, but not much in our school textbooks, etc. So from boys to men, cowboys to Indians, we carried on playing ding dong ditch, nigger knocking, step by step, heart to heart, like toy soldier. We fell in line and joined the ranks of 10,000 maniacs, chanting, "Welcome to the jungle," and take me down to Paradise City, wishing that someone like Pat Benatar would take me home, but love is a battlefield, and this don't push me because I'm close to the edge before I began wandering about the streets for my bread. My life was pretty much a lifelong lesson of home ec taught by my madre and all my exes. Hi, I'm pretty much beta. I would like to think that I'm an alpha, but a lot of what I do is like a beta. I was born an Aries, which means I possess many alpha characteristics, but when it comes down to the come down, I believe in the preservation of life like a beta. Meaning I put others, people's well-being before me and mine. Therefore, I could never be as ruthless or fierce as a warrior who puts themselves first at all costs and by any means necessary, like a beta. My padre was a lot like this in many ways. People used to tell me all the time, "Man, your dad is just way too nice." I guess this was true in a sense because he did a lot of things that were kind to people. But when it came to his personal life, things often fell apart. Similar to my life, one thing I notice about myself is that a natural or an alpha is usually on one at all time and never or rarely ever has a down period. That could be true in many not, but in most cases it is. An alpha thinks with their first mind, rarely doubts themselves. They may be looked at as being conceited, but just are who they are and are comfortable with that. One of my brothers is like this. An alpha. They were the firstborn, the oldest, so it is in their nature to be independent and a survivor as they've been for a long time. I used to look up to this guy a lot growing up, almost as much as I looked up to my padre, my dad. There were times when I doubted them both, but in the end, I found out that my life outcome relies on my choices, my actions, and my energy. That I put out into the universe not what others think of me, but what I think of myself and how I feel about myself despite everything that is going on around me. In my life, I crossed paths with a few alphas that I considered bullies, but were strong-willed individuals that if I did not judge so critically, I might learn from. Similar to my life, one thing I noticed about myself. Oh, yeah, I already read that shit. Hold on a second. In my life, I never really was known to be a badass or a player until I got older. Mostly an artist or a nerd or shy. Talented, but mostly a nerd or someone who would not introduce themselves to you unless I was trying to sell you some music or ask you for a cigarette. which I found to be a major turnoff with the opposite sex. So I had to stop that and all the geecher habits that I had. I find alpha males also try and get chicks' phone numbers, constantly seek out employment, and constantly seek out alternate lines of currency without being spurred to do so. On most occasions, I've been a wallflower in my life. I had trust issues and so on. Emotional dependency began when mi padre died when I was 16, 17 años. The idea that I would forever be in a position where I would always have to take care of my madre and never move on and start a life of my own. We as black men, I feel, have to step up and be leaders and assume roles of leadership, not just in the homes we were raised in, but in our own homes and our communities. I live in a different city than mi madre, but I frequently go there to check on her. I feel has been a major downfall in my life. A man has to learn to stand up on his own and not always, go run into the nest unless he has something to offer, not a need or a want, because that's the easier route. Or because it makes the other person feel comfortable. It's called a sense of self-pride. You just have to have it. Otherwise, you'll feel obligated to your siblings, your parents, or anyone that could be eternal blisters. And always put them before your kids, or your spouse, or yourself, or your girlfriend. I never pursue your happiness as I did not with the passion it takes to be a strong father or father figure or leader of your own company or family of your own. I'm 40 years old, no kids of my own that are biologically mine, no close relationship with the daughter that I raised who I thought was mine, no ride or die chick by my side to be down like Bonnie and Clyde scenario. I attribute it to me being the youngest of a bunch of siblings. When I was young, they called me the caboose. I always wanted to be like my dad on his business trips or wherever mi padre was at his college or in Philly with my primos, cousins, and my siblings. But most of my younger days, it was just me and my madre. My madre was very protective of me when I was young. The city I grew up in was extremely right-wing conservative, and we were black in the 80s growing up straight out of Africa. Plus, considering the fact I have a bad arm since I was 8 years old when I accidentally put my arm through the bathroom door. She's always been emotionally babying me, but trying to install morals like being independent, but when I started getting into trouble a lot, it became a crux. Being independent, being right up under mi madre's nose all the time. Everyone in life has a purpose. It's up to each of us to know when the time has come to place your purpose at the top of your to-do list and not at the bottom, and start living your own life for yourself. Or you'll be a caboose forever and never grow a backbone. This is Alpha, continue. This is a continuation of Alpha. This is Alpha, chapter 2. Well, not chapter 2, but, as we continue on. We left off on backbone. She is always... Nah, that's not it. Okay, yeah, straight like this. Some people realize this sooner, some later. Some never, but the sooner you realize this, the greater your reward will be. If not, you'll be the last in the choo-choo. Excuse me, pardon me. That was kind of funny. If not, you will be the last in the choo-choo train. Realizing it's too late to be the conga line, it was meant to be the whole time. Choo-choo. That happened to many people who finally achieved the synergy with someone else in their life or something new, where that individual could be the head of something big, but they get spun and end up being the tail again. Choo choo. Because they didn't seize the moment and believe in themselves to the point that if they were the last star in the sky, would cease to shine, because we all feel alone in the end? Or would you be content knowing that at least you got to shine with the greats, be a part of the many, and even may have been the first to usher in a new day? Choo choo. A new group of stars, a new probability. Choo choo. When severing ties, always remember, never be weary if the other person takes it personally or does not. If your heart is in the right place, you will know, and the people who you truly care about or truly care about you are meant to take care of from that point on. You can't be there for everyone. I can't be there for everyone. Nobody can be there for everyone. Choo, choo. A major part of growing up, I learned, is never giving up. I think I can. I think I can. I know I can. Choo, choo. Even in the face of adversity, we are facing some adverse times, and many of our kind are giving up. Why? I believe this because many people are waiting for a hero, be it Jesus, be it Superman, be it some badass, or any alpha in particular. Anybody but me or you, right? Choo, choo. I used to wait around for people to inspire me and for change to come, even for the Lord to come. Back when I realized that God lives through us. He might not come back the way that we intend or expect him to. Choo, choo. God also said, never place a period where I put a comma. And I realized that God was not finished with me yet. But I had to learn to be godlike in a different way. Not by being righteous, not by being religious, not by being wordy, by being righteous, religious, wordy, choo, choo. But by being just by being. My friend once told me, chances make champions. And recently, I learned this to be true. God wants us to be champions, so we should want ourselves to be champions. Our God is a champion, so we ourselves should be a champion. God also is an initiator of positive outcomes, so we should be an initiator of positive outcomes. God is an alpha, so we should be an alpha. But God works in mysterious ways. Should we? Choo, choo. I had to genuinely realize the gods must be crazy. I had to realize recently, choo, choo. God is energy, essentially, and life's occurrences go beyond good and evil. Choo, choo. And there will be days that are very dark and very negative, but as long as I have a purpose, I will be drawn to purpose-driven people. Drawn by the law of attraction, drawn by the 48 laws of power, drawn even by the art of war, drawn by even the pen that's in my hand and the paper that I write down and these 8 million stories that you keep hearing, miseducated or not, true. And if I see myself tomorrow bawling or achieving great things, then tomorrow will eventually arrive with those great blessings, right? True. It's simply a test of resilience. What may break one day may be the foundation that you build your house upon the next. In school, I was a terrible student, very frustrated, never punctual. This carried over into work and relationships, right? True. Unfortunately, in life, people are attracted to doers, not talkers. In my life, there have been various times when I was the life of the party. But you know why I didn't get married to the valedictorian? Because I did not slay every day. Chew. Every chance I had in life, there are those that God asked to give 10%, and they give it their all, which is 100%. But then there are people that God asks nothing, and they give 100%, and on top of that, 10%. Thus, the saying goes, God gives his hardest battles to his truest soldiers. Wages are a simple man's wages, but God knowing the value in that. So, being virtuous, he may never oblige himself to offer more than a small percentage. That's just me. Right? True. Sometimes I feel like God is in some hidden mist. Sometimes I feel like God is some hidden mystic in the sky. Sometimes I feel like he could simply just be the highest man in the room. Maybe that's why I always felt like a beta, except when I used to travel the country being an entrepreneur. True. There has been plenty of out-of-town trips I took where I showed up on some Miami beach and started with money in my pocket, but ended up posted up with a homeless chick, chillin', content. 'Cause I was the first of the homeless crew, and some alpha guy would show up probably to scoop my chick and leave her back where he found her, and he would give me the status straight. I was setting my sights too low. I needed to be looking for a sugar mama. Maybe. A good-looking one with money. Maybe. Occasionally a female would tell me this, but usually they feel too embarrassed to tell me. But yeah, I be tripping from time to time. Until my friends break it to me to stop letting drugs and laziness take control of my life and get fly, get on top of my game, get on top of your game, stay on top of your game for as long as possible. True. Consistency is always very important in the life of the alpha. If alpha is not consistent at what they do, they are not an alpha. We are remembered not by what we said over a lifetime, but what we did or do over our lifetime. That's why many in alpha have said it better to be tested, better to be feared, better to be not tested, better to be feared than loved. True. Because fear commands a greater level of respect, which I agree. Figures of authority have the support of the people more than just your average guy when he says something is concrete. When he says something, it's concrete. And when he does something, it's consistent. For a long time, it has been believed that women are more attracted to entertainers who can woo them with a tune and a dance or take their breath away with a breathtaking motion picture. But in actuality, women fall for guys who do that shit every day in real life. Not live larger than life, live harder and simply more consistent throughout their life. But not just a basic level, but an emotional level, like I said, concrete, right? Glue. I believe you give a woman the kind of love she mostly inwardly desires, she may build the house for you, or at least find all the resources 2. It's up to you to be the milkman, the gardener, the delivery driver, or what have you. Whoever you decide to be that day, you are daddy. You are it. Some introverts can help extroverts be more of the kind of alpha or extrovert you want to be that day. Perverted. True. But never too long of a period where an alpha does not get a great sense of self-pride or direction. It's just not like an alpha. But there also is a thin line between being a dick and a dictator. Think about pimps. Pimpology is a form of psychology. There are people that are pawns in a situation that could be king, but they are too afraid to make the power moves it take to get a movement started because of the risk. True. A friend once told me high risk is high reward. I always looked at it as a double-edged sword. Looking from the negative standpoint, like, what if this goes wrong? Instead of, yo, son, light up. I got a story to tell. I just fucked the baddest trophy. Or I just saved on my insurance because I switched to Geico type shit. Like the Bible and plenty of otherwise books have spoken to like this. There is a people who will harvest a good harvest because they planted on time, and others who will have no harvest because they went to work late and been talkers instead of doers of what they talk. I believe we live in those times, true? And it's a fly time to be an alpha and hell for a caboose. It's a fly time to be an alpha and hell for a caboose. Good thing I'm not him anymore. In all actuality, I am technically alpha. I realized this when I realized 2 concrete facts. 2. Alpha is the man, and even though my brother may not be the best man, he is not my enemy. It's a brother thing. You just gotta be there. So basically, if you have never been the baby brother in a big brother family of women, or even been one of only 2 boys, you wouldn't understand. It's an Italian thing. You wouldn't understand. No, wait. It's an African thing. You wouldn't understand. No, I got one. Better yet, it's a Jersey thing. You wouldn't understand. I used to have penis envy. Straight up. Flat like that. I used to have penis envy. When it came to guys who idolized, including my brother and others, that throughout history were known to be badasses, stunting like their daddies before them. After a lifetime of chasing my padre's coattails, my father's coattails, brother's coattails, everybody's coattails, the Jay-Z's, the Biggie Smalls, the Nas's, everybody, even hometown legends, everybody but me, coattails. Street hustlers, I realized that in a room full of beautiful women, the woman of my dreams may pick me over not just my brother, but any man, even local guys, even hometown heroes. New Jack. I used to have penis envy when it came to guys who I idolized, including my brother or others, any brother, your mother, Tom, Dick, and Harry, any others, that throughout history were known to be badasses, stunning like their daddies before them. This is a follow-up of Alpha. This is like Alpha 2, Chapter 3, something Alpha 3, written by Ray Cornelio Jr. As we continue on, after a lifetime of chasing my father's coattails, my brother's coattails, all the legendary actors, street hustlers, I realized That in a room full of beautiful women, the women of my dreams could pick me over my brother or any other. Your brother, my brother, any Tom, Dick, and Harry, any other. If my dream is over there, then I'm dreaming of a weak ass dream. Like there's still a whole room of women left. Dribble, dribble, swish, homie. There's a whole room of women left. There's other brothers, there's others, there's other New Jack hustlers. There's other guys that you gotta compete against. True? My life since then has been less competitive and less stressful. I realize that if I'm constantly looking for a reason to be comfortable or not accept that to be an alpha, eventually you have to break day. Even on an empty stomach, with no merch to sell, just $1 and a dream. Don't go looking for problems and don't have problems in your mind when you go on about your day. Go looking for a prospect. Make a good woman your prospect. For it is said, he who finds a good woman finds a good thing. Like Biggie said, 2 dicks and no chick don't mix. Find yourself in serious shit. I call this pulling your head out of your ass. When you realize life is not just one challenge. There's more challenges. There's many challenges. There's not just one and the many. It's infinite possibilities. Good or evil, evil or good, above or below. So many possibilities. The sky is the limit. Global skyline, true. It's kind of like the grass isn't always greener. It's like when I went to LA the first time expecting the 80s LA, and I got the LA 2 decades later. Ooh. It's like when I went to LA the first time in 2017, expecting the 80s LA, and I got the LA 2 decades later. Ooh. It doesn't mix. Find yourself in serious shit. I truly now believe you are not a true alpha unless you have a family or bringing a family into this world, and no loss is greater than divorce. Especially after years or even decades of investment. I do not know what it takes to make this kind of investment. My first guess, though, would be capital. And like they say, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Or if it walks like a duck, it's a duck. If you think like a man, you can be strong enough for some manual labor, but genetically, you are going to be overlooked for the guy that can make replicas with you. If you think like a man, you can be strong enough for some general labor, construction labor, mechanic labor, but genetically, you're going to be overlooked for the guy who can make replicas with your boo. That's why I'm sold on the fact that a woman can be your greatest advocate, even your closest enemy. But if you're constantly thinking of a woman as your enemy, or anybody as your enemy, something is wrong with that. Something may be wrong with you. If there is fear or doubt or lack of trust, that is a cause of infidelity in a relationship. Not only that, as I said, if you look at one guy as the only competition, or any guy as competition, or anybody but yourself in the mirror as competition, that's flawed. That means you've not healed. Whatever that person did to you, even if it was beating you to the chapel of love, Mm. You have to look at tomorrow or a new perspective, female. Or dream or passion, you have to heal. And in order to heal, you have to forgive and forget. Mm. I firmly believe this. After all, I used to be spiteful because I was hurt in the past. But once I was able to forget what caused my mood to be negative, I was able to appreciate the positive things in life and I became more positive. But if I never would have healed, I would have never accomplished what I accomplished in the past 2 decades. Every living one has a purpose or a definitive jux. 2. Something that makes them exceptional, something that causes them to accomplish great things. When you're not healed of your scars, you will not realize how great you are. Some people never realized how great they are because they're waiting all their life for an apology from someone. But what if they tried to apologize to you and they could not find you? Sometimes God deals with people differently and different times and in mysterious ways, like letting a person's own conscience eat that person alive. For this purpose, I would like to apologize to everyone I have hurt in this life and the next because, as I said, it's a thin line between a dick and a dictator and a man and a manipulator. You just never know unless you've been given those emojis. 2. I've been to a lot of dark places. I've been lost chasing my ideals and the ideals of others, thinking that it mattered when the only thing that matters, truly matters, are who I will be sharing the bed with when I sleep and what will we do for the next generation. 2. I'm just more blessed that I now believe that if I sleep with a woman out of wedlock, I will not go to hell if I do. Choo, choo. Not find the right woman. I will either be my own island or struggling to get off the island of loneliness or around a bunch of guys and never know females. Choo, choo. So in my race against time these days, if someone asked me, how do I appeal to women? I would say, think less what I thought yesterday and think more like a doctor. But the difference between thinking that will help me and not thinking like a doctor anyway is the real problem, wouldn't you say? Why not try to find cures instead of creating a problem by looking for problems or even carrying a problematic personality? Are there problems of today too difficult for you? Then maybe my passion is not strong enough for my woman or women today, but women need passionate men. 2. This world needs passionate men. True. Women need alphas. So does this world. True. Does an alpha stop being an alpha to make others feel good? Maybe. But there is a way to be dominant and playful. Or threatening. A leader, but not exhausting. Superior, but not oppressive. Or any way depressing. That is by being the alpha you are meant to be. One thing we cannot forget is that we are not always right. Right? True. Sometimes we have to let other people take the wheel. Not just Jesus, but our girlfriends and our wives. True. Our friends when we are too drunk. True. Our spouses when we are unfit to drive. True. Our kids when we become too elderly. True. At some point, someone had to take the keys and the responsibility that comes with it, or realize that it's no win situation with that person and let Jesus take the wheel and take the keys. Let our women take the wheel and the keys. Let our kids take the wheel and the keys. 2. Before we become too elderly to, and someone tells us we are unfit to drive. 2. I remember when I was young as a kid, we used to play the alphabet game. This was a game where you would tell out the letters in order of the alphabet using words on the street signs we passed to be the first to spell out the alphabet. It was one of the most fun childhood games we played besides Uno, Go Fish, War, Assholes, Presidents. But as fun as that game was, I'd be pretty silly asking my 75-year-old madre, who just lost another brother, to play the alphabet game at 40 years old with no kids in the back seat, wouldn't you say? True. One of my greatest letdowns in life was not that I didn't graduate or didn't become a millionaire or get a record deal. It was that I didn't give the woman who I love children of her own or make my madre a grandma biologically, literally, figuratively, not just analytically or, as an analogy, just true. And I did not die trying to be truly rich, which is to be a father or even a good father or even a godfather, not just a godfather or quote unquote mafiosa or some mafiosa. A good father can also be a stepdad. A good father can also be a godfather. A good father can also be a boss, an owner of a company, a CEO. True. You can be a true alpha unless someone looks up to you. You cannot be a true alpha unless someone looks up to you with the same love they would have for their father, for you. And my family, a man who makes many children is noted as important, especially if he takes care of them. But even greater than this is the husband that makes you a lot of boys. The women in my family call themselves kingmakers. My padre had mostly girls. I never wanted to be like my padre. I never wanted to be like my father. But I turned out to be a lot like him in some ways. True. Minus the success. I pretty much am a replica. In his younger days, my father had a lot of money, but in his older days, he lost his good looks, his finer qualities, his power, even the truest of his wife and his kids. This is part of the reason why I never wanted to be a father. Because I did not want to have to go through the joy and pain, sunshine and rain of a marriage like my parents, but we unfortunately are born to die, be fruitful and multiply. And in the beginning, we have the juice. In the beginning, we have the juice to accomplish many great things. If we wait till we turn sour as wine, we still have to drink the grapes of our own wrath. I nowadays believe so. I believe we are right now. Mankind upset Mother Nature, Earth, by not taking care of the earth and being self-seeking, self-pleasing, greedy, egotistical maniacs. A lot of us, including me in times past, have had no couth. Trying to be too much of an alpha is dangerous You can lose yourself in your own ego and miss the one you love. Life is about loving. If you are not spreading love, that does not make you an alpha because you are all powerful or all knowing, which makes you conceited and delusional like the traits of a dictator or an asshole, and not someone who anyone would follow or call their leader. You can be godlike and not have a God complex. All you have to know is that there is an answer to all this darkness today. It's love and loving another person. Too many relationships are destroyed because of religion and politics and various complications that keep love from taking fruition. But does it mean that one person was right and the other was wrong? If so, I believe God may not need two sexes, but we need both, or the gods actually might be crazy. The one and the many might be crazy. Not just the one, but the many might be lazy. Once the collective humanity realizes this, we will realize that God is in all of us. We're all gods, and God is in all of us. And no one is the end all and be all of good or God. I'm not the end all. You're not the end all. No one is the end all and be all of anything. And just like Jesus said, just like Yeshua said, just like all the religious prophets said, we're all gods. Maybe Jesus is the Alpha, as he said, and instead of returning on clouds, maybe just returned through the womb. Maybe, just imagine, if I ruled the world, would I free all my sons like Nas? 2? Maybe our interpretation of God has been skewed. And God is the children. That would depend on if you are looking at it from a Christian standpoint, Muslim, Buddhist, Taoist, another religious standpoint, another political standpoint, another argument, another dispute, another discussion, another one bites the dust. Another athlete, another entertainer, another cop, another rapper, another soldier in the military, another everybody else but you. Or are you ready to do a self-check and admit that your balls are not so big after all? True. I have to admit, rapping like an egotistical maniac is fun and very comforting to think that one is the man, but when it is dinner time and nothing is on the dinner table or in the fridge, or you're depending on a woman to put dinner on your plate, you're not the man and you're not an alpha. You're just like me. I'm just like you. I had to make this realization that people are waiting for God to come back to save us. People are waiting for other people to save them. People are waiting for everybody but themselves to save them. And I'm doing the same thing sometimes, just like you. But in the meantime, letting women take care of them. In the meantime, letting women take care of me. In the meantime, letting women take care of you, or anyone take care of you except you. God is not pleased with this behavior. God does not like this behavior, whether it comes out of me or you. God commanded us to work till we die. Through the good, bad, and ugly, work, 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 jerk, 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 Chew, 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 chew. The problem is, sometimes it gets so ugly we don't want to work. When we don't realize the ugliest thing is poverty and ignorance, and we become more ignorant by the day not working. Weeks pass, months pass, I've been given another chance to breathe. Where's the money? Alpha. Boom. Let me see. In the beginning, we have the juice to accomplish many great things. If we wait till we turn sour as wine, we still have to drink the grapes of our own wrath.